Okay, so we are live. Hello to everyone. Today we are going to talk about the risks. So we often face some different type of risk in our BA work. We often need some cool piece of practical advices. So should we done when how we need to act. Let's jump into a rabbit hole together with you and find out how we could struggle with such cases. And I would like to pass the words to Dmytro and Roman. So the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Volodymyr. Hello, Roman. Nice to see you again in our event. Yep, in our BA Project Insider event, and that is awesome. That is awesome chance, guys, for all of us to hear some piece of advice from great expert, top expert, senior business analysis director Roman Sakharov today. And I think that this piece of knowledge will be very valuable for you. So, Roman, hello. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Dmytro. Thank you for having me today here. Glad to be with you. Doing great. Yeah, looking forward to for some interesting discussions today.
Yeah, sure. So, guys, yeah, we choose for today's discussion the topic about the risks in BA work. Why? Because this is not really popular topic for all of us, but a lot of professionals knows very well that this is crucial topic for our work because we need to be focused on techniques how we can avoid and prevent the risks in our BA's work. But before we are going to this topic, I want to just make some kind of reminders for you guys, and one more time, just highlight what we are going to do today. So, three practical cases, a lot of interesting information, short discussion, and general overview. What is going on with the risks in BA work? As usually, you can ask some questions in our channel, and we will be happy to provide the answers during our discussion or after that. And one more time, with all my pleasure, I want to introduce Senior Director Roman Sakharov, Business Strategist, Operations, AI for Business and Productivity, AI Ethics, Oxford Executive MBA, and other stuff that Roman conducted over the 15 years of his experience in IT. Roman, you can add some words about yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dmytro. Thank you for introducing me this way. It's a pleasure. Uh, yeah, guys. I guess the most important thing is I really have quite a lot of years of experience in business analysis, so I would be happy to share the practical perspective, and of course usually managing a lot of people in our organization globally and talking to a lot of business analysts across the world. I'll do my best to share the best practices that are there, and based on the theory, based on the practice that we've seen. Yeah, and yeah, hopefully it's going to be valuable for you.
Yes, and I want to add about Roman a few words more. Also, Roman has a great experience in management, especially in IT management. So let's go forward. And some of you maybe knows me. I hope yet, maybe not. But for newcomers, I am Chief Business Analyst Dmytro Lozovytskyi. Also, I conducted some kind of role in IIBA Ukraine chapter, Director of Competence Growth. And I'm strongly convinced in that fact that only on the edge we can born something new and something interesting. So let's deep dive. And I want to provide one more small reminder. So we have today 30 minutes active discussion, 3 practical cases, 2 experts, and as usually, guys, for you, especially for you, 1-pager helper from Roman and me. And let's go forward with the first case. So we named this case for you guys organizational risks avoiding. Yeah. So preconditions for this case are the next, that BA can face with a lot of organizational issues and tasks during his work, especially That is always challenge when the project is going on. So, Roman, can you provide some kind of vision on that?
Yeah.
About
So I mean, in that case, yeah, especially when we start, we can have different issues, right? And in this particular risk, we wanted to talk about the organizational risks. Most of the time, again, we work with some type of client or a customer or a senior stakeholder or an executive sponsor, and usually, and I mean, you know that the structure is not that simple, right? So we have to navigate the organizational structures. We have to understand who is taking the decision on which step, and basically, yeah, that will like help us to mitigate the risk that we have. But before that, again, to understand what are the risks, right? Because usually, like I had that couple of times in my career as well, when you are trying to design the solution, to take the decision on how to work on the solution and how the plan looks like, you can have
Mhm.
the discussion with seemingly stakeholder in charge. But after some time, after you have this discussion, there is a risk that you might have missed some of the stakeholders, right? Or you might have missed the
Yeah.
stakeholder that actually really takes the decision and you did not consult with him. So to mitigate that risk properly, I really suggest like again like making sure that you build your stakeholder analysis matrices, you do your stakeholder analysis properly, and again, because sometimes we do not have enough time for that. And sometimes we try doing that, let's say, ad hoc. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
have this guy. Let me start with him. Then we'll clarify, who's also on the map for us. But again, this approach has a lot of risks inside of it. If you really are not planning and are not proactively mapping out your stakeholders and trying to understand the decision chains, that actually increasing the risk of those organizational risks you will bump into at some point. And they are bad not only because you'll build the wrong solution or design the wrong solution, which is of course a problem, but also there is another part that you'll get some stakeholder disappointment, and you will kind of lose some trust if you are missing some people from your map. So that's why you have to do this analysis, and after that you have of course properly work on this building trust, on establishing relationship, on asking proper people proper questions. So this is another part, because sometimes you can start asking like some technical questions or
Yeah.
some really low level questions to the stakeholders who are of a senior level, right? And with that will also won't help you, to build your let's say authority and to build your reputation in their eyes. So yeah, there are a lot of aspects, but yeah, Dmitro,
Yes,
anything
yes,
from
yes.
your side?
I want just yes, yes. I just listen you very attentively, and I think that our guys have one more question for us. So about the communication obstacles, because yeah, all things that you mentioned they are crucially important for us. But what you going to do when you faced with the I can say not very soft on behavioral level stakeholders, and you have some kind of communication obstacles? Maybe you can advise something for us.
Yeah, I mean, like usually, guys, these are again soft skills, people skills, even psychology skills that ideally we need to know, right? So, uh, like, of course, we work with people all the time, and we need to know how those people act, how they, what they value, and we have to use it when we are communicating with them. Every person, and again, when we were discussing stakeholder mapping, usually if you are doing stakeholder mapping as a tool, there is a very proper way of doing that you have to write expectations and motivation of each stakeholder in the matrix, right? So you
Mhm.
need to understand why is this person here and what are his goals in this project, in this program, or with this product. By knowing that will like build this lifeline, build this actual communication rapport that you will have with the stakeholder. And even if he is not that friendly,
Yeah.
and he is not that soft with you, like knowing what he is really looking for, uh, allow you to adjust your communication style to again talk with him about the things that are interesting for him, right, and valuable for him in the scope of this project. And with that you'll be able to have much more effective communication and reduced risks.
Awesome. So we can resume that you need to be proactive. Yeah, you need to provide the open communication for your stakeholders, and you need to focus on the right interests of your stakeholders during your communication with them. So that is great. That is great options. Thank you so much for this first case, and let's shift to the second one. So, guys, in that case, we faced with the situation when BAs work in difficult and very scalable projects. Yeah, and this is very often case, especially in enterprise area or just big IT companies area, etc. And what kind of conditions we could have here? And I think that the best way to describe these conditions is to provide the main questions for us as for business analysts. What BA should do when he faced with chaos in at the big and challenging project? Because very often, very scalable projects just contains some part of chaotic activities. Yep, and we need to know what is going on there. And sometimes these chaotic activities could be in the zones of in the zone of BA's responsibilities. What is horizon of possible BA's actions in that case? What kind of actions in his work we could highlight for all of us? So primary challenges is on the screen. Roman, is your turn.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Mitra. So I guess from this perspective, and it's generally a very good way of thinking about challenges. You have
Mhm.
to understand why things are the way they are around you and why actually what you see is happening, right? In large projects, when you have a lot of connections, when you have a lot of interdependencies, usually people are trying to deliver, right? They are just trying to do their job basically, and they they want to deliver what their team committed to. They want to deliver what their stakeholders are expecting from them, and yeah, basically they are trying to do what they can in order to be able to deliver to those expectations that are set for them within that project. So, and in that case, my suggestion would be first of all work with your project management, with your program
Mhm.
leadership, in order to have proper transparency and proper processes that support this transparency in place. So, for example, if you are a BA or like a product owner, like a business analysis team leader, so you have to have like regular catch-ups with your product team, right? Why we are moving the project in that way? What timeline or schedule expectations do we have from project management? If you
Mhm.
have this framework in place, and again, no advertisement here, but I'm usually a fan of concepts that are shared in scaled agile framework. So you
Mhm.
can actually build some structure into your project, right? And you can,
Mhm.
again, as we started with the chaos, you can structure this chaos by introducing some additional, processes, some additional transparency, and I mentioned, one part, and of course, we don't like more meetings in our calendar, right? And it's not always about meetings. So it's often also by having a backlog, just a backlog that is transparent for everyone. And if someone's asked you, okay, what's going to be next, then you tell them, okay, that's the link. This is where we are going to have all our next work that will come our way. And yeah, so that's the way to make it more transparent. So um,
That's awesome.
so yeah.
I think that maybe you can highlight for our guys, for our colleagues, just maybe 3 or 5 main gaps in that area for business analysts that he need to highlight for everyone.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like if we are going to talk about suggestions here, and if when we are working on scalable projects and we are facing with some level of chaos, first of all, be empathetic. Try to understand why people do what they do. And don't just think, oh, he's just messing my backlog. He's trying to constantly reprioritize. No, try to understand why this is happening. Second, be transparent, right? You have to be transparent by yourself to explain why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to ensure that this is a part of the process. Okay, you have to come there to your product backlog refinement meetings, to your planning meetings. You have to share, what is happening and what concerns you. Third, work with your program management and work with your project management to highlight chaotic or
Mhm.
untransparent areas and ensure that you can work on them together and they make them transparent again. And also the fourth point, as already mentioned, try to ensure that you really have the artifacts that support the transparency and structure. That will reduce
Mhm.
the chaos. Again, as already mentioned, have the architectural diagram available for everyone. Have the project roadmap available for everyone. Have the product backlog that is visible. Have team backlogs that are visible and are easy to see if you have any interdependencies between them. So this will help you, and usually that also helps you to reduce chaos in those large and projects where you need scalability.
So, Roman, can we assume for our colleagues that actually, based on your just bullet points of piece of advices, so just can we assume that transparency is a key, one of the keys, yeah, that we need to start from, yeah, in that case,
Hmm. Yep.
in these projects, yeah,
Yep.
okay, and
Yeah. I mean, like,
maybe, yeah.
so sorry, Dmytro, for interrupting you, but sure. I mean, like transparency in like, and, hmm, we are not living in the AI world yet, right? And we
Yeah.
are not like, and human beings are not APIs, right? Where you have a clear call and clear response, and like everything is clear and specified, and you get what you ask for, right? That's why, like, even for two people to talk to each other and clearly understand, you have to have a lot of transparency in your
Mhm.
intentions, in your goals, in how and what are you trying to achieve. So yes, so usually that's a first step to do, and the rest comes after that.
Awesome, awesome. Because I like your comparison, your opinion. Yeah, that people are not just or just they are not APIs. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely yes, absolutely yes. And so, guys, let's resume here the main advices from the expert. That the main solution for all of us is to choose the right approach and be rapid and transparent here to make the success. And I see that we have one more question from our audience. Roman, why you choose the safe scale agile framework? Why? What kind of
Okay,
advantage
guys.
do we
Yeah,
have
that's a
here?
good question. And the question I'm often critiqued about, maybe because I guess SAFe has some controversial reputation, especially in the agile world, and I totally acknowledge that. And I'm not saying that SAFe is um, is a silver bullet to anything, but what I like is it's a pretty good knowledge base, and it actually has a lot of principles behind that that allow you to understand how to even create your own process of alignment. So, for example, most of the things I mentioned today, they are mentioned in the scaled agile framework in this or other way. Like, for example, I was saying about the transparent backlogs. So, of course, that's a part of agile and scrum, but it's also part of safe.
Yeah.
Multi-level transparent backlogs, right? For scaled, this is important. Uh, Again, and being transparent. This is one of their principles and values that is there on their manifesto, I guess. So, I mean, like, I know that's easy to dismiss something because
Mhm.
agile leaders would label scaled agile framework as not agile enough. But
Yeah.
I think like we have to understand that like these are tools, right, around us, and we need to be
Mhm.
able to use them tools and use them in a proper place in a proper way when it makes sense. When it
Mhm.
doesn't, okay, use different tool. So that's why I mentioned safe. And if you just check, the website, if you just check the description, just again, like read about the backlog on the website, and it will give you, how understanding of how it builds into the rest of the structure of requirements management on the project. So
Ab-
yeah,
yeah.
no,
Absolutely.
I don't suggest anything specific. Just if you're interested, you can check it for yourself.
Sure, Roman. Thank you so much for this again beautiful explanation. And I think that the main tenet here is to use the Lego principle or Lego tenet or approach. Yep. So you need to choose the right tools, the right approaches, just for your specific needs. So that is great, guys. Please don't forget this piece of advice. This is a very valuable thing, very valuable thought, we can say, idea. And let's shift to the third case. This case we name for you that being focused and making the boost, because very often we can face with situation when a business analyst just to need to stay calm and productive, or we can say highly productive under circumstances and work and pressure. What we need to know about the focus on work in such kind of conditions, how we can resolve a lot of tasks at the same time. We can say that this is some kind of dilemma about the multitasking in BA's work, etc. So very often we are under pressure, we are under circumstances, influence, etc. What we should do here, Roman?
Yeah,
In your opinion.
that's also
Yeah.
another great question. I hope you can hear me, guys.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh, so under work pressure, this is not an easy way, right? Because again, because we are human beings, and just to tell you, like, calm down, focus, structure your work, and just do it. Maybe that's not the best suggestion, right? Because
Yeah.
still, you will need to work with this pressure somehow, and you need to understand how to build your work-life balance and ensuring that you are delivering on the expectations that are there for you, right? So, um, it's very popular now to tell everyone that multitasking is a bad thing. Like, just choose one task, work on that, finish that, and that's it. Um, I would agree with that in terms of psychology, right, and how our brain functions. That's true, but it's very hard to stay focused on one task if you are working on a project with like four streams, and you have to constantly switch between them, right? So it's just physically impossible. So, and while you can try and combat that, I heard people that, okay, I have one day working on, or let's say half day working on one project, another half day working on another one, and so on. Most of the people were not able to sustain such approach, right? So that's why your multitasking skills and your ability to quickly switch between different tasks is important. And also, you have to understand how your brain functions. You have to understand how you personally switch between the tasks and what makes you the most productive. Because, for example, like, okay, just an example. Uh, Sometimes I had time to write requirements in the beginning of the day. Let's say from 9 till 11 because I have like first stand up meetings at 11. And for some people it works, right? You can just focus there and try writing. But for example, morning is not my creativity period of the day. I'm just not that creative. I can do some routine work, I can do some boring stuff, but it's very hard for me to actually do some creative stuff.
Yes.
However, I'm very creative in the evening. So in that sense, I usually try to kind of to understand myself, right? To what work am I able to do in what part of the day? And for example, in the morning, I was reading emails, answering emails, like doing some boring, tedious updates and stuff like that. But in the evening, I was creating, the requirement structures, the epics, some additions to the functionality, and trying to understand so, for example, what our stakeholders are willing to see based on the interview. So that's how it's easier to do, right? And of
Mhm.
course, you have this ability to try and control yourself, right? You can have your KPIs that will help you to understand whether you are getting your user stories ready in time or whether you need any support from your colleagues, from your manager, and sometimes, if you are overloaded, it really makes sense just to raise a hand and say, "Okay, guys, sorry, but it's too much for me, and I need help, and I need help, or I will be producing less detailed user stories like that." So I always, um, liked to explain the requirements details. It's like it's like a slider, right? So the more
Mhm.
time you have, actually, the easier it is to produce a pretty detailed requirement. The less time you have and the more load you have, you will actually get the slider to the other side and you will produce a very basic requirement, which is enough probably for a developer to start working on, but still, yeah, it can be improved. So that's why what I'm saying here that you have to understand yourself and learn to balance and actually be able to ask for help and also of course understand your KPIs against which you are measuring yourself. And the final point of course is feedback, right? Because sometimes
Mhm.
if you're not receiving the proper feedback, you are concentrating on some items that you think are a high priority ones, but in fact they aren't. And your stakeholders, your team, your client would rather see you focusing on some other areas than what you're focusing on. That's why constant feedback is also very important.
Very, very, very interesting approach. Yep, and with beautiful accents, I can say. And so we can just summarize that, guys. Please feel yourself and plan your work in very efficient manner. So you need to feel, you need to understand, as Roman said, and you need to plan very well your work. And one more time on our horizon of discussion, just appeared a pretty standard question, but maybe you can provide some piece of advice about how to decrease stress. Maybe a couple of points. How you decreasing the stress, Ron?
It's a good question, Dmytro, right? And I don't have an universal answer for that, but you have to find those things that actually energize you, right? And sometimes it's just walk, on the street in the evening, right? Or even during the day. Because, like, for example, for me, sometimes, you are
Mhm.
stuck in your screen for so long that you stop seeing the world around you. And it's
Yes.
very useful just if you have 5 minutes, stop trying to answer all the messages, stop trying to answer uh, all the emails and all the chats that you have. Just stand up, walk there, take a tea, take a coffee, and don't drink it while staring in your screen. Just try and like look in the window, right? Look out there, or just think about things that inspire you. So you have to find those things that help you to keep your energy levels high. It's not easy, but again, it's also about understanding yourself because in that way you will be the most productive. Because again, you don't need to reuse what other people use. You have to use what works for you.
Yeah, Roman, you inspire me also about one more accent from our side. It's about the delegation of duties. Yeah, if that is possible on your project, guys, please don't forget to do that. It also works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for this third case discussion. Very short discussion, but this is our new format. And this format, as we can say, based on our feedback, is really cool. And guys, you like it. And finally, at the end of our discussion, we want to present to you guys one more one-pager helper for you with the detailed accents about the BA's work and main risk zones, potential risk zones in BA's work. So as you can see, Roman just provided, in his opinion and based on his very broad and very deep expertise, main accents today. But also with Roman, we prepared some kind of detailed information for you guys. So please don't forget to follow up us, our LinkedIn profiles in LinkedIn social media. And you can find there this beautiful one-pager helper for you guys for your best and efficient work. And today, I just want to say for Roman, very, very, very big thanks for your time. We know that you're a very busy person and expert, and for you guys, for your participation in our BA Energizer BA Project Insider event. And this was the 8th event in the row this year. So don't forget, follow up. Don't forget to monitor our announcements in global BA community in global BA community space on the social media pages, on VR community, on LinkedIn, etc., etc. And Roman, maybe some kind of wish for our guys at the end of this meeting from you. Roman, can you hear me? Can you hear us? Guys?
Yeah, sorry, Dmytro, I had some connections issues, so I didn't hear the last question you asked.
Yeah, it's just the wish, yeah, for our guys from your side. So could you wish something interesting for our guys as for business analysts?
Oh yeah, sure, guys. I mean, like, dear business analysts, colleagues, like friends who are just here with us today. Yeah, just find what you love, understand, how your brain and how it works best for you. This will help you to be the most productive because, again, as I mentioned, just repeating something that someone told you probably won't make you that productive. And be reasonable and empathetic to the people around you, right? Especially in the age of AI, we have to remain humane, right? We have to be like people, not APIs.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roman. Again, guys, please follow the piece of advice from our top expert, and don't forget about our events. So see you next time. Thank you so much, Roman, and have a great day. Thank you, guys. Bye.